Oh, yes! I'm walking on air.
And welcome into episode 14 and the most special I've done yet of the Task Force. I'm TV and Radio's Dan Leach, the Kingpin. Here as always, Dave Rieger. But of course, the special guest. There's a reason I'm playing this. We changed the theme song based on the guest, Dennis Fithian. And I'm playing Greatest American Hero because you are, to me, and many, the greatest American hero, my longtime radio partner. I'm grateful, so grateful to call him a friend, Dennis Fithian. Dennis, I can't tell you how great it is to see you. What's up, buddy?
Hey, well, I thought episode 14, it was because of Shanny or Placido Polanco, but I'll take that intro. And it's good to see the Tiger King. I know most people don't know that's his handle, but I know in his other life, he's a poker pro, and I see him on there as the Tiger King, man, and he's always on the table. He hasn't been knocked out in the 3 games that I've played.
Well, the funny thing is that's actually not Dave Rieger. That's actually my friend Zach. Dave would never make it as long as the Tiger King is. But I'm glad that you thought that was the Tiger King.
I did. Well, what's Dave? Is Dave that guy with the lollipop in his mouth?
Dave, what's your thing again? No. You have some like Jack. His brother is like a Jack, a card playing Jack. And Dave, I think you're like a dinosaur. I think you're some weird dinosaur or something.
I think it was a dinosaur or something. I don't know. Then I changed it to maybe it was the Broncos logo. Maybe you couldn't see it. I don't know.
That'd be a giveaway. That would be a tell. And you don't want tells at the poker table. I kept looking for something.
It's true.
Bronco, something like that. I figured, incognito. People like to, roll away at the poker table because I know that if you show that Bronco logo, I know you're apt to go in on, pair of sevens, things like that.
Exactly.
Well, and Dave, I know you've known Dennis for a long time, so I know it's probably good for you to see Dennis as well. Obviously,
it is. I've known Dennis for a long time. I remember when it was Dennis and Jeff, my brother, with the ramped up coverage of Tiger baseball at Comerica Park. That was kind of the beginning when Jeff came back from Milwaukee, and I would see them because I was covering Tigers back then, and they always would have the ramped up coverage at Comerica Park. So yeah, it's been a while.
Fifth, I got to tell you this. Sorry, I think I said the wrong button there. Fifth, it's great. Mike's in the chat. Dylan's in the chat. People are joining. Ask your questions for Dennis. Anything you want to throw up to us. But Dennis, you and I have obviously talked a lot recently, and we've known each other for a long time now. And obviously, I think you know how loved you are. I think you know how upset people are about the, leaving 97.1. Obviously, not that you wanted to, but I just wanted to check in and see how you were doing because I think that you know how much people love you. I hope you do. And I want to see how you've been feeling since a place that means the world to you, but obviously a place that you were able to share your heart and soul for so long. How you're feeling right now?
Yeah, well, I feel pretty good today. I felt pretty good yesterday, right off the bat, not so hot. But, when you see all the messages from people that reach out to you and then you see that like half of the people are like in your boat or worse. And, everybody's concerned with what's going on and a lot of people out of jobs that I didn't pick this way to go. But now that I'm in the kind of same club with a lot of people out there, I have found that, maybe I can be right there in with them and get through this as being part of that club, the club where you're out on the beach and you don't have a job and you're going to work through this any way you can. So that's where I'm at. I didn't pick it like that, but and it's a little bit too early to say that it was a good thing. But I feel like that is going to be the case. But it's a little premature to say that. I wouldn't say that just quite yet.
Well, yeah, but, I think things happen for a reason. I know you and I have talked about stuff. There could be some really special things in the future for you and I because, and Dave knows this. And by the way, Andy Bell's in the chat. Our great friend Missy, who says, hey, Dan and Dennis, miss your face. Dylan, Taylor Phillips is involved. When I just did an interview with a college kid, and also with Greg Steiner from EMU, our alma mater. And they both asked me a question I get asked a lot. Who is your favorite person to work with at 97.1? There's never a hesitation. There is never even a thought aside from it's you. And it's always been you. And all the work we put in, the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.s, the afternoons on the weekends, the Lions post-game shows, which I know Dave said he was our greatest caller ever. We'll get to that, I'm sure. But all the things that you and I have done together, I told you this the other day, and I'm not embarrassed to say it. When I was writing the post about after you had let everyone know you were, not a 97.1 right now, I was crying because I looked at the 200 plus pictures you and I have of our pre-show pictures and our Saturday and Sunday sizzlers and all the amazing things you and I have done. And I can't thank you enough for being there with me, for being there for me. But you are Detroit. I have your little chyron when I zoom in on you. It says Dennis Fithian, Detroit broadcasting legend, because that's what you are, Dennis. And I just hope you know that.
Well, Dan, you know what? You got a big heart. I appreciate all of that. And you really do. You do a good job at documenting things, picture-wise, video-wise, all of that. So all of those pictures that you're always, wanting to take pre-show, I'm happy you did that. But all the time I was like, okay, here we go. Here's another photo. But it was good to have that documentation for over the years.
Two quick things before we get into some stuff. We got people want to talk Lions draft. Of course, 50 doesn't do it better. He does it better than anybody, even better than me. And Dave can just try to make fun of the Lions because he's a Broncos slap. But a couple quick things. It is Flom, Jeff Lesson's fine lady friend, the first lady of Mason's birthday today. And I know she's watching. I wanted to send her some love. She's of course in quarantine like we all are. It's Passover as well. She celebrates, so it's like a kind of a combined Flom past birthday. So nothing but love to her. And Dave, I know you have known Dennis for a long time. He's had to put up with your brother for a long time. But when you think about what Dennis has meant to Detroit and what he will continue to mean with all the great things ahead, what has it meant to you, Dave?
I always listen to Dennis coming home from doing the handyman show. His 2 to 6, I was off at noon. I would stick around and just talk, but I would always drive home from the Fisher Building and listen to Dennis. It was like a Saturday ritual to listen to Dennis talk about whatever it might be: Tigers, Lions, Michigan State. So that always made my ride home on the Lodge a lot easier. I've known Dennis for a long time. He does a great job. I love the good afternoon.
That's his favorite thing, Fifth. Good afternoon.
That's my, and I also obviously, self-proclaimed best Dennis Fithian, Dan Leach Lions postgame caller of all time. After that big Broncos win over the Lions in week 3 of their Super Bowl season. So
yeah,
I've got that going.
At least
for me.
He said self-proclaimed, Fifth. Well, Fifth, we got a lot of people asking about the Lions draft. You and I have, of course, covered this for the last several months. I mean, every show we always would try to put in something on the Lions draft. Where are you at? People that have, heard me and you on the air before know that I'm all about creating that Tua sweepstakes, trading down, getting the most kind of value for the picks you can get in the first round. You've kind of been a fan of Tua for a while. I don't know where you at now with the Lions draft.
Well, I've been
yes, Tua.
No doubt about that, but it was always predicated on April 9th, being able to watch him go through the full complement of drills, and that meant running a 40, throwing the football all over the place, working out for 40 minutes, shuffling, 7-step drop, the gamut, and all of that. And the only thing that we got was this last Monday, a kind of a prepared hype video. That wasn't enough for me. And then, the other one that had everybody in a tizzy was that 7-step drop where he did some shuffling there. I liked it, but I'm like, all right, I'm still going to have to see on April 9th a pro day. And when now we're not going to get a pro day, that to me is, it hurts the Lions. It hurts the value of the third pick. There was a chance that teams were going to play off against each other and feel like they had to move up there. So this hurts the Lions right off the bat with Tua, because he's fallen. Nobody's moving up to 3 to take Tua Tagovailoa. Now, could they move up if they really like Herbert, if they like Love or somebody else? Yeah, they could, and there still could be some value there to move back. And I feel like there's only one player that the Lions can take at 3, and that's Chase Young.
Sure.
And that's unlikely that he's going to be there at 3. So then Bob Quinn has got to move back, and he's got to move back to likely, it's like 90+%, if I had to put a number on it, that he's going to go back to 5 or 6. And if he can get Okudah there and get a second rounder from the Dolphins or Chargers, to me, that's the best case scenario right now for the Lions.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun because you always, as people know, keep me completely honest because I get off the deep end sometimes. And I was, I'm like, you Lions create that bidding war, which, as you explained perfectly, is kind of not there. Can they get 5-18 and even 5-26? You'd be like, I think that's just being too hopeful, Leach. I think you're right, Dennis. I think that the Tua, as you've been a Tua truther, has kind of gone down there. as far as the buzz around him and the danger about maybe him not being able to play well or get injured again. And I feel like getting a 5-18 or even a 5-26 could be a lot. But as you said, I think that it's still about looking at if you trade down Okuda or Simmons, getting as many value picks as you can in the first couple of rounds. But I think that you're absolutely right. I think that you mentioned Chase Young. Would I like Okuda at 3? Sure. Would I like Simmons at 3? Sure. But is it worth taking either of them at 3? Probably not. You should trade down, get one of those 2 guys. They'll still be there at 5 or wherever, hopefully. And if Chase Young's there at 3, Dennis, I think you're right. Then you got to go with it. And what do you think the chances are that Chase Young does fall, that someone does trade with the Redskins? I feel like right now that's probably not going to happen. Maybe you can.
Yeah. I thought before that 99% chance that Burrow was going 1, and then a 75% chance that Young was going 2. But that was with Tua thinking that he was going to work out, that a team might want to jump ahead of the Lions. Now that he's fallen like a rock, I would put it at a 90% that Young's going to the Redskins at 2. So that leaves the Lions. It's just going to be if the Lions stay at 3 and take Okuda, even if he's a fabulous player, even if he's the next Marshawn Lattimore or Denzel Ward, I'm going to be disappointed. If they take Simmons and he's this super high-bred safety and he's this awesome player at 3, I still feel like they could get him at 5 or 6 and get that second-round pick. If they stay at 3 and they don't pick Chase Young, they're going to be disappointed.
I'm surprised you didn't go with like 7.5 canoes. You like giving me crap about my canoe scale. Riggs, what do you think? I mean, you're the Broncos slab. You're the trader, part of the Rebel Alliance. Take him away. You're looking from the outside in. What do you think about the Lions at 3?
Obviously, I'm more concerned with the 15th pick, but I think the Lions. Obviously, I think that they kind of showed their hand a little by signing Chase Daniel, and that they weren't going to deal with Tua. So I thought way back then, I thought it kind of showed their hand a little bit. But with big play Slay gone, Okuda seems like the pick at number 3, and with everybody being in different locations, I don't know how much trading is going to go on. I think that we're going to see some. I hope there's not too much technical difficulties with what they're going to try to do, and everybody in a different location. So I think it's going to be more of a straightforward draft. I don't know how much trading and moving up and down is going to go on. So unfortunately, Dennis, I think the Lions are going to go with the safe pick, and they're going to go with Okuda at 3. And I don't necessarily know if they're going to move down to get that second-round pick that you want.
Well, then I'm going to be disappointed. There and take Okuda. It just would make it so much more exciting, of course, for the Lions and their fans if they get Okuda at 5, and then they're sitting there with 2 early second-round picks, and they could get Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins. They could get a defensive tackle. They could get a guard there or a defensive end. It just opens things up so much more. So, yeah, I'm hoping for more ammunition. I'm hoping to go back to 5 or 6. And as Dan and I talked about a lot, the double move back.
Yes,
that is still slight. That was in play when Tua was there, but now I think the double move back is probably out of play.
Yeah,
but Dennis, having done radio in this city for many years, and obviously predicting the drafts for many years, and the Lions drafting very high many of those years, don't you just kind of know that it's not going to happen the way you want it to happen? I mean, it never does with them. It seems like it's always this big hype leading up to it, only to be just disappointed and let down.
Well, yeah, you're either going to be in the camp of Dan, who's hopeful that they get it right and that this could be a franchise changer, and you're never giving up hope, and this is going to be it coming up on April the 23rd. Yes. The Lions are going to get it right, and Bob Quinn. But then there's a lot of everybody else who, it doesn't matter who they pick. They think it's going to be a bust, and it's going to be, the next, we can just start going down the list of all of them. Charles Rogers, any of them, anybody they pick is going to be a bust. And, you feel like that. If you're a Lions fan, it's very hard to be in that Dan Leach camp.
It is. Before we get into it, there's a lot of things I want to cover. And my camp is great, though. First off, Taylor Phillips says hi.
It's a fun camp to be in.
I
tell you, you're always feeling good about everything.
Especially during a time like this. Dan T says, great to hear and see you, Dennis. He has a question that I want to ask you in a second. Missy also says, do you mean we're going to talk about how the Lions are going to screw up the draft? That's what kind of most people feel. She also wants to know that is diaper rash ointment behind you in your little man cave down there. She said she saw some diaper rash women, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Hey, questions are out there. But he wants.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, listen, you got a great little man cave there. What's that poster I see to the back, your back left? Whose Teen Bop poster is that?
Well, you know what? Truthfully, this is a spare room that I am in right now, and this kind of flag back here is an iCarly blanket that a couple months ago I put over the window. It ended up going. It's backwards, and my wife wanted to get some rest in the afternoon, and I haven't taken it down there, so I still have an iCarly flag up there, and then I just threw some stuff up in the corner there.
Great.
Yeah, there's a Marty Turco picture. There's a Heisman trophy with some miniatures in a case that somebody gave me back when I was working in Ann Arbor. I put that up on the wall anywhere I move. That one goes up there. That's one of my faves. So yeah, there's a couple things right there.
It's a hell of a man cave. By the way, speaking of the Lions draft, you and I have talked about a special show about the Lions draft, so we'll get to that going forward. And Dan T wanted me to ask you if Michigan fans should be concerned about David DeJulius leaving.
Well, I don't like anytime anybody transfers, but the way Juwan Howard has got guys lined up ready to come in and sign,
5 stars.
It's like, he's really a mover and a shaker on the recruiting trail. I mean, I think they got to have even possibly one other guy that you might not want to see, hit the door or hit the portal. You might see, that happen here. He's got these guys lining up, breaking down the door to get in. So, while it's sad to see him go, there's guys that want to come in and highly touted, high school players. And when it comes to recruiting in basketball, especially when you're talking about, top, 5 stars, top 10 guys, certainly, McDonald's All-Americans, those guys have a high rate of hitting. Those are the kind of players that you want.
Yeah, Juwan Howard's definitely done a heck of a job. They get into the 4 or 5 top 100 guys. Josh Barty saying what's up. Andy Bell, by the way, should Michigan fans be concerned about Julius leaving? He says, no, thanks for the scholarship. So I thought we could have some fun with this. We always, Dennis, do a task force top 3. You and I have done so many different things on the various shows that you and I have done. But I thought we could have some fun with this. Oh, sorry, I just pressed the wrong button. Still, it is streaming. But here we go. I'm back. Hey, we gotta figure it out in our homes here. All right, so tonight's Task Force Top 3, and Josh, by the way, says, great to hear see Dennis again, as everyone says, fifth. The top 3 favorite all-time Michigan moments, any sport, any year, any moment. We will start with King Dennis Fithian.
Okay, I will go all-time any sport here. Let me go with something that just happened recently. I went to the final game at Tiger Stadium. What was that, 1999?
They're showing it right now.
What's that?
They're showing it on Fox Sports right now.
Yeah, you know what? I never wanted to get a press pass to Tiger Stadium. I thought, it's why? You're out in the, you're right on top of the action. There's no reason to go into the press box. The last year, I got a press pass and went up there and sat in the press box, and it was sterile, and it was boring. Yet, if you walked out the side door, you were up in these at the very top of the stadium, and it would be like where there were luxury suites now, right. But they were prepping and breaking down. You couldn't have anybody go in there. But I watched a few games from up there. It was a great vantage point, man. You're staring right down at the field, so that was awesome. Then in the final game, I sat out there, and it was everything. Everything that I could have wanted. So that would be number 3. I'll put, all the Red Wings championships. I got to put one in there. And I think the first one, breaking the curse for 42 years. And finally, seeing Steve Yzerman raise the cup, I would put that one number 2. And number one, I will go to Michigan beating Ohio State in 97. Charles Woodson taking back that punt. That would be my number 1 all-time Michigan moment.
I love it. It sits Dave Rieger as a Broncos slap. We're going to make it stick just to Michigan Wolverines memories. So, Dave, what are your top 3 favorite Michigan Wolverine memories?
I would say number 3 would be the first time that I ever went to cover a Michigan Notre Dame football game at Notre Dame. It was the game where Mario Manningham went off for 3 touchdowns, and it was just so cool to just be in the press box in Notre Dame. It was a brand new press box at the time, and the place, it was just a cool campus, and just to see Michigan come in there and just absolutely crush them, that was great. I'd say number 2 obviously was the 97 championship with Brian Greasy over Washington State and Ryan Leaf. That was very cool. And number 1 would be the 1989 basketball, Ramil Robinson hitting the free throws in overtime against Seton Hall. That was pretty cool. So that'd be my number 1 Michigan moment.
All right, good stuff. Fifth, Josh Barty said jinx, Dennis, because his is 97 Michigan, Ohio State. Woodson with the punt return for the touchdown. I'm gonna do all Wolverine ones for you, and you're gonna love to give me a hard time about one of them. And I'll save that for the last. But Dave was right on target with Michigan Seton Hall, 89. I was 11 years old. My dad let me stay up late. Ramil hits the free throws. I'll never forget what that felt like. Being at the Rose Bowl in 1998, January 98, where they won the national championship. Brian Greasy, Lloyd Carr, so many of my friends out there. I will never forget what that experience was like. And that's a moment I'll never forget for my entire life. But Fifth, you love asking the listeners if they think Leach is lying when he says he was standing next to Woodson with the rose in his mouth on the field after Michigan beat Ohio State to go to the Rose Bowl and have a chance to win the national championship. Fifth, I've worked with you for 8 years now. Do you believe me that that's the truth?
No, I don't. But to your credit, like, you stay with that story. Like, you never waver every time it comes up. Like, but I do think the first time, I thought you gave him the rose, and then you put it in your mouth there, and I never saw any of those pictures or any things like that. But yeah, if that really happened, what a great memory, and you stick to it to this day. So you should keep going. Like, one of these days, we'll see if we can get some footage from the field there. They probably have it, and we'll see you right there with Charlie Woodson, and we'll see if you had the roses, or if you got a rose, or whatever else.
Is that kind of like when you were hanging out with Drew Henson all
those
times, Dan?
I was hanging out with Drew Henson. Listen, Dennis and Dave, you guys both know this. You both know that I'm crazy. It's like Jamie Samuels said, a lot of people have said this. That I'm there's no one like Dan Leach, but I'm clinically insane. I'm nuts. But I don't lie about stuff. And I promise you, on the tour, it's Passover. Elijah the prophet coming and opening the door. On my life, I jumped on the field, asked my father. I had a Mackinac no cigar. The state trooper said, "Hey, Mackinac no, man," put it out. And I worked my way right next to Woodson. He had the rose in my mouth. I didn't give him the rose, but that was an incredible, incredible memory. Dennis, I'll ask you this, because obviously we're both Michigan fans, and you're much more, I think, fair about Michigan than I am sometimes, because I get a little crazy. And I think that, I either get too hard on Harbaugh, or I think Michigan's going to be better. But do you think this program can get to where they need to go and find a way to get to Indy and have a chance in the playoff whenever we play football again?
I don't see it right now. I mean, it's hard to say that, that they're going to keep getting dominated for another 5-10 years. But if they weren't able to get over the hump the last 2 years, 2 years ago, I finally, I picked them to win down to the Horseshoe. And then going into last year, everything was lining up for them. Here, Ohio State had a different coach. Ohio State had a new quarterback. The game was in Ann Arbor. Michigan had a returning quarterback. Everything was there for Michigan to win the game. So you can't keep just slamming your head into the wall. I can't say, here's what needs to happen. I went all the way back to Troy Smith in the early 2000s. Michigan's only won a couple of games. But if you just go down through the quarterbacks from Troy Smith to J.T. Barrett to Cardell Jones and Haskins to where they're at now, Michigan has been dominated at the most important position on the field at quarterback. And you know what? The Ohio State's quarterback coming back right now, he's pretty good. There's no way that you could pick Michigan, whoever it's going to be, as their signal caller right now. Something has to change. And somehow, Ryan Day, I thought Urban Meyer, it's all right, this is huge. There's nothing bigger in college football than the head coach. So Urban Meyer, like one of the greatest, if you just look at record-wise, championships, however you want to look at it, that, here's a guy that, finally this is going to be Michigan's chance. But then Ryan Day's come in and he's like souped up the offense. He's sprinkled in the pro concepts, and he's doing a great job recruiting. It's like every move that Ohio State makes is golden right now. And so it's hard to see the path for Michigan to even get a win over them.
Yeah, I'm already sick of Strawberry Jordan Fields. I mean, every year, whether it's a JT Barrett spot that was short, but I'm not going to bitch and moan about it, whether it's obviously you mentioned Troy Smith. It's just, it's crazy. And go ahead, Dan. Yeah, it was close. Yeah.
No, it was this close. I mean, it was close.
He was short. But it's someday, my friend. Andy Bell wants to know if you think it is time to move on from Harps. He says the answer is yes, but if not, answer is yes. If not, how long? What do you think, Fifth?
Move on from Harbaugh?
Yep, that's what Andy Bell wants to know.
Well, one, you got to have a successor there, and I don't think it's a cop out to say I don't see a successor right there. I still think he knows what it takes to beat Ohio State. Now he's not able to do it, and I wish he wasn't wed to Don Brown like he is, but he is. So, as gloomy as it looks with Harbaugh there, I still think he's the best guy for the job.
Yeah.
Which just puts me in a state. And last year, people were like, "Hey, it's a cop out to say it." It's just how I feel. I don't see another guy there to come in and do a better job. If there's somebody out there, and it's just Ohio State's been dominating in recruiting and at the quarterback position. And how long? I mean, I don't know. Like, is he going to go 0-6? Is he going to go 0-7? I mean, he's 0-5, right, Dave?
Yep. Yeah. Dave keeps track of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't take it anymore. I mean, I couldn't take it. Like, I haven't been able to take the last 2 years. So
it's been tough.
I'm in a different place. I'm in a different world. So I mean, he can move on. I'm not going to sit around crying or anything like that, but I still think he's the best guy for the job. I know that sounds crazy. I feel crazy saying it.
But unlike the Detroit Lions and Dan's dream of them ever getting to the Super Bowl, I do believe that Jim Harbaugh will get it done. I do believe that he will not leave. I do believe he will finally beat Ohio State. I do believe they will get to Indy, and I do believe that Harbaugh will have them in a college football playoff. Now, whether or not they can beat a team from the SEC, or a team from the ACC, or any of those powerhouse teams, the Big 12, but I think that Harbaugh will get it done. I do believe Harbaugh will get Michigan to that next level, whereas I don't believe that we'll ever see the Lions in the Super Bowl in our lifetime. Yeah, unfortunately, Dan, I'm sorry for that.
Listen, I know you are. I know you see your heart's breaking. By the way, Dennis, you said in a different world. The only different world I want to be in is that great 80s sitcom that was a spinoff of The Cosby Show. Before we get into what Dennis and I have always done on our shows for years, the Fithian Leach one-on-one, which Dennis always did at such a high level. Dave's got a special version of us. But Fifth, I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on sports and their ability to come back, whether you think it's smart to even think about it right now, football with no fans, basketball in one place in Vegas for a tournament, hockey in North Dakota. Where are you at with sports and how we should kind of look at it as sports fans? We know that sports are cathartic. That's why you and I and Dave, we've been in the sports business and the broadcasting business for years, since high school for me, and same with, you and others. But for me, I just look at it that you got to be careful. You can't start planning stuff before you know what's going on with this virus. Where are you at with sports? And we know it can bring us together, but saving lives is the most important thing right now, Dennis.
Well, that's it. I mean, we could sit around and talking about a pandemic, the three of us, and how it's, should we be playing golf or be out on boats or even walking at the park? But after a while, that gets pretty tiresome talking about, sounding like the world's going to end and when's anything ever going to get back to normal. So we just sit around kicking around sports, which is a relief, but I think that making any predictions or, hey, I think they'll get back by, football season, or, man, wouldn't it be great if they did an NCAA tournament with 16 teams in the NBA or something similar in the NHL? All of those things, if they get back in maybe by July, baseball, I think could even do a tournament like that in August, put something in those things would all be fun. When we get the all clear, man, I'll be ready and jumping in on all of that, and it'll be great. All of a sudden, we've waited all this time. Then it'll be a bonanza. There'll be so many things going on. It could be this is the worst of time. That really could be the best of time sports wise. But predicting or thinking about it right now, I don't know, man. I'm just waiting. The one thing this could die down and we could get an all clear like in June and July, but then it could spring back up in October.
Right.
So thinking about how it's going to play out and everything else, man. When they talk about going week by week or day by day, I mean that's pretty much it's a cliche and all, but yeah, I'm seeing what they're going to say about it tomorrow.
Nothing wrong with cliches right now. By the way, I love that you went Dickens, best of times, worst of times, Tale of Two Cities. Riggs, what do you think? I mean, how I felt for the last several weeks, and I knew this was a serious thing when I was at the Rudy Gobert game at LCA and things got crazy and I had to self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I think you just can't get people out there, not fans obviously, but get teams traveling, NFL teams, college teams, Major League Baseball, whatever. The first person that tests positive, we're right back to it because we got to keep this curve down. What do you think about where we're at with sports right now, Dave?
I kind of echo the sentiments of Mr. Fithian because I agree with him. You can't really predict, what's going to happen. Like I told you on a previous show, Brian Kelly was on with Scott Van Pelt. He's like, in order for college football to really be given a chance, they got to be ready to go by July 1st at the latest.
Right.
Because they got to have time to get conditioned. President Trump says, he had a meeting with all the commissioners. Yeah, NFL is going to go on time. The NFL is ready to go with their draft. They're going full force ahead. They're expecting to start on time. So it's just hard to say. And, the one thing that Dennis said that I really agree with is what does happen if we flatten the curve and everybody starts getting the green light and then it comes back. So I think we need testing. I think we need testing also for the people who have had it and who have beaten it, and then we can get see what their antibodies are, and then we can get a vaccine from that and send those people back to work,
right? And
then quarantine the people that still have it. And I think you have to go from there. But I think sports, with this, playing in front of no fans, but you still have the players that are out there that could be infected. So I think you just gotta have to take it day by day. We'll see what happens. I hope it gets back soon.
Me too. We need it. It's cathartic, but we can't risk people's lives. By the way, Josh Farney just said the task force better than every show on a certain radio station. So I'm going to leave it at that. A special edition of Fithian Leach one-on-one. Dave Rieger, the host today, Dennis. We're kind of trusting a Rieger member of the family, which is kind of a dangerous thing to do, but we'll allow it. All right, Dave's got 5 sizzling questions. Dennis, you're the honored guest, as you always will be. Let's start with Dennis first on this, Dave.
So, in trying to do Tim Jetski, he always, does a really great job with you, Dan. So I'll try to hold up his legacy
you
here.
Live up to it.
The first question I have for Dennis is there's a new Trolls movie coming out, Dennis, and the plot of the movie is them trying to gather the 6 guitar strings that represent a different genre of music. So my question for you is, if you had a guitar and you had collected 6 strings, what would be the different genres of music that would be for your guitar?
Good question.
Well, wow. So I love classic rock. That would be number 1. I like hip hop. That's number 2. But I don't know how many guitars are in hip hop. But I'll still put it in there. I like country music. There's 3. So those are my top 3. So I'm running out. So I need 3 more. Wow, man. I like some pop. I like some popular music. And you know what? I've been listening to some Latino station. Get in there.
Nice.
Some, I kind of like that. And I need 1 more.
No reggae? What about some 50 and reggae?
Yeah, reggae. You know what? So the Latino music, they span something. I think something along that. Give me some. Man, I think I can just. I think I'm going to stop at 5, man. I'm going to stop at 5.
Hey, that's fine.
If I can come up with. Jump back in.
Matthew Osterman says, "Miss you on 97.1. The ticket, Dennis. Hopefully, be back on the radio again soon." Double smiley faces, and we get these messages all throughout this show, all throughout the last several days on social media. It's great to see that. By the way, Andy Bell says my Colombian wife would appreciate that. All right, for me, You all know I love classic rock, Floyd, Zeppelin, Who, etc. Obviously, like, alt rock, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and all that kind of stuff. I love like old school R&B, like whether it's 80s, 90s R&B. You know that I love EDM. It's the future, past, and the present, electronic dance music. I will go because you've got to have. I learned this as a young kid. Dennis is giving the thumbs down. Thanks. I know that as a young kid, I was taught that 10 minutes of Mozart a day makes you smarter. So it's good to have classical music in your life. My grandpa loved it. I'll go classical music. And for my final one, I will definitely go with reggae. I don't need any commercials there. I'll go with reggae because Bob Marley, legend. And I was in the islands. I sailed in the Caribbean. So I'll do a little reggae for my sixth string.
A little mustache for you.
They're a little Hawkins mustache. All right, question number 2. So I get this music back.
Question number 2, Dennis, at President Trump's coronavirus daily update, he had a little joke about pardoning Joe Exotic, a.k.a. Tiger King. If you could pardon anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, I would pardon Shoeless Joe Jackson from the and he should be in the Hall of Fame. He never took any money. He didn't know what was going on, and I think he was wrong. I would go with Shoeless Joe.
That's a good one. And this isn't a controversial one, but I'd pardon Pete Rose because he should be in the Hall of Fame. I know he bet on baseball. I know that there's a lot of issues with that. But when you've got guys in the steroids era, you got the Astros cheating for the World Series, and this guy I used to know bookies that were taking his bets. He never bet against the Reds. But Dennis, you've always called me on this, and it's been a fair point. It makes you different when you're betting on yourselves, the way you manage pitchers and stuff like that. I get it, but he's the best hitter of all time. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I'd pardon Pete Rose. Good question, Reese. What do you got next?
Number 3, UFC President Dana White has purchased an island for future UFC events. If you could hold any sporting event, a big sport event, on an island, what would it be, Dennis?
Well, this usually I would say like that's totally an unreasonable question because nothing like that could happen, and yet we might be playing games and it actually could. So I would go with a Sweet 16, the teams in the NBA this year. Like, let's say they get the all go in August. They're going to do a NCAA tournament. Maybe they could do a round robin double elimination, but they could put that on an island, put that on the Canary Islands, and we could watch them play outside, outdoor hoops on an island. NCAA style for the NBA playoffs and the championship. Let's go. I'll sign up for that.
I love the Canary Islands drop. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have some island like near the Falklands, maybe Tahiti, somewhere awesome. Build a huge stadium and Super Bowl 80, and the Lions will be playing in it against maybe, I don't know, some team from like Jackson Hole, Wyoming. But I want the Lions Super Bowl to be on that island in front of like 100,000 Detroit proud fans. That's what I'd go with. Riggs likes that one.
The Falkland Islands and the Lions. I love it.
They could do it for World War II. They could do it for the Lions. All right, question 4, Dave.
Question 4, Dennis. At WrestleMania this past weekend, Rob Gronkowski became the 24/7 champion. What former athlete would you like to win a WWE title, and what title would it be?
Nice.
Well, I would like to see a former athlete that would have to turn into a wrestler. So you're going to have a little bit of personality. I'm going football. Am I thinking recently in basketball? Maybe I'm looking it over. How about, I'd like to see somebody like, Joe Kocher or Darren McCarty get in there what I really would have wanted to see if we could go back in the time capsule is Bob Probert and Joe Koster be a tag team and just light everybody up and win a title.
I like that. Can you imagine if Koster and Probert were a tag team? Like, I don't know if they'd be called the Cocaine Cowboys or something, but that'd be a great tag team to watch. For me, I'm going to go with Charles Oakley. I mean, a lot of controversy surrounding the Oak Man. Obviously, the Knicks fans were standing up for him, but he was actually recently at the retirement ceremony for Earl Kieran, Dennis, who you and I had on a show we did together. They retired the Twirls number. Oakley was there, so I'd want to pin Charles Oakley and show that I still had some athleticism in my life. That's what I'd go with. Dave, I got to ask you who yours would be. And if it's like Peyton Manning or John Elway, don't even say it.
I would have to say probably I work with Lomas Brown on the Lions broadcast, so I would like to see him go and win like the heavyweight title. I think he would be great. He's got a great personality. I think he'd be great.
Would be the international squash championship. So, and Charles Oakley, that guy was a piece. And another guy I thought about was Dennis Rodman. All right, let's hit it out of the park as we always do. Question number 5.
And remember, I have a special 6 bonus question from my brother for both of you too. So, yes. But in the tradition of Tim Jetski, question 5. So you remember a couple of weeks back, we talked about the Boober Eats that the Portland Strip Club was doing out in Oregon, where the strippers were delivering the food because the strip club had to get shut down. So they would go and deliver your food for you and carry out. Well, in Vegas, there's a strip club called Little Darlings, and guests can now drive up to the front door, and for $100 with 6 feet of separation for social distancing, they can enjoy a show for 10 minutes for $100. Now, without getting Dennis in trouble because he is married, but Dan can answer this question. Would that be something that would interest you guys?
Well,
a drive up strip club show for 10 minutes for $100.
Yeah, Dan, I'll jump right in. You know what? I'll just go on my own experience in champagne rooms and everything else. They talk about 3-foot barriers and 6-foot barriers, and nobody adheres to them at all. I'm going to tell you that right now. So I think it's a bad idea. Like, you're trusting people to go up there, and you're talking about a 6-foot barrier. You're talking about keeping your distance and everything. But no, I think there'll be a couple other 100 drop. And I just think that's a bad idea. I think it sounds good, but it's kind of like, playing golf sounds good too. But people don't listen.
Yeah, not now.
Nobody's listening. You know what? I'm going to just tell you guys this, that I've been walking down at the park for the last 2 or 3 weeks here. I got to park a mile down the road here. We all know, hey, keep 6 feet away and everything else. I would say that only 25% of the people that I encounter purposely are adhering to a 6-foot barrier. Runners, they're going right by me. Bikers, people that are walking, if I don't move over, it's like they're going to bump right into me. Nobody's listening to this, or I should say 3/4 of the people that I have encountered at the park aren't listening. So I don't think people driving up to a strip club are going to listen.
That's a great point. Listen, for me, and Dave, I love the question. It sounds like it'd be great, like Boober Eats. I've never been a big strip club guy. I've sadly had a lot of friends that fell in love with strippers, and they sucked them in, and they thought that they loved them, and they just kept showering them with thousands of dollars. It's never really been my thing. I'd rather meet someone on Tinder or Bumble or Match.com or at the bar or something, and just feel more. I talked to a girl last night on Match.com. She was super cute, and we made a connection. But I'm not really into the strip club thing.
Gay date?
Yes, Jasmine. But for now, it's not the right time. But I will tell you this: in Vegas, it's warm out there. The girls aren't wearing anything. I guarantee you there'll be strip shows, drive-up strip shows for as long as this goes on. But it's not the right time. Dennis, you're totally right. I go, you look great. You've been in great shape for a while now. I'm trying to get there. I've been going on 2 or 3 mile walks every day. Most of the time in my neighborhood, people are good. But I've gone on some walks with my father, and people are right near you sometimes, and they're not getting out of the way. You got to be 6 feet, peeps. We made my dad do 10 feet just to be safe with a Lily Squatch, our great dog, or their great dog. So please be careful when you're out in nature. You're okay to go out there and be healthy and get the fresh air. But listen to the rules. Let's try to flatten the curve. All right, I can't wait for this bonus Jeff Rieger question. Dennis will go first.
Yeah, it's very, very important bonus Jeff Rieger question. He wanted me to ask with 2 big Michigan fans, Dennis Fithian and Dan Leach. From Jeff Rieger, who is the bigger Michigan slap? Dennis or Dan?
You know the answer to that one. Dennis is I won't answer for Dennis, but I'll just say Dennis is way more fair than I am with Michigan.
Yeah, but I have to say, I would say Dan right off the bat too. However, over the last year, Dan has turned on Harbaugh, and I'm the one said that I am staying with him. So it's a different kind of world. Although, I do think that Dan is more of a slap, but over the last year or so, Dan has bailed on Harbaugh. So mostly it's Dan, but more recently, I guess you'd put me in that category. If you think, if you just base it on, if you think that keeping Jim Harbaugh makes you a slap, then it's me. Everything else, it's Dan.
That's a good answer.
Three things. One, you guys can't see me because of our software, but I'm wearing my Michigan shirt on purpose because Dennis was coming on. 2, Josh Marty says DTM is definitely the bigger slap. And 3, I know I am. But I will say this in my defense. I am definitely a slap, and I have no, because I could be a fan. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a writer. I'm not a columnist or a beat writer. But I've been a fan since I was out of the womb singing Hail to the Victors, and I love that about myself. And if people want to call me a face painter, if they want to call me a slap, if they want to call me a Wolverine nut, that's fine. Because that's who I, Dennis knows this. And you have always been fair with me on this. You've taken me to task when need be. But that's just who I am. I'm not going to ever fake something. So if that means I'm a slap, then I'm a slap. But between the two of us, Dennis said, maybe him on Harbaugh, me on everything else. By the way, Andy Bell said, Dave, you should win your WWE 24/7 championship against Carl Mecklenburg. So that's your guy. I don't know what the title would be called. All right, well, we got our item to get to here and our parting shots, but I wanted to do this, Dennis, because and I think most people know that listen to us for the last 8 years and have listened to you forever. I remember listening to you in college at WTKA, and inspired me as well as a few others to get into the business. So my admiration, love, and respect go back a long way when it comes to you. David and me have talked a lot about you in recent weeks and months as well with all the stuff going on. I just wanted to give you a chance because, as you know, and you and I personally have talked about this, the outpouring of support you've gotten, from all the people posting about you. I know that it meant a lot to hear from you, that my post got reaction for you because that's why I wanted it out there to let people know how much you mean to me in the city. Just if you had whatever amount of time you need to speak to the people that are upset, that are angry, and we know that's the way it goes, in life, but that really love who you are, what you have represented for decades, how hard you have worked, and as I said in the post I put up there for you, you are Detroit. What do you say to them? Because I get multiple texts every day, multiple responses to social media posts every day about you. I got 5 of them today. I'm not going to mention the names right now. It's not what matters because I want to give you the floor to speak to the people that love you so much.
Oh, well, hey, thanks, Dan. I would just say that, the plan is to broadcast again, so stay tuned. And all of those messages, I've gone through them, and, I'm trying to keep my head, my heart, and my strength. And I'm going to do all those things. And, I'm in this club now with a lot of other people that aren't working right now. And it's a challenging time, a pandemic and all that. And, I think there's going to be good things on the horizon. So stay tuned. And, I know this, that last year around this time, my dad passed away. And there were a lot of people that reached out or sent me texts and messages. And I hadn't been in that experience, had that experience before. But, after a couple days or a week, you go through it and you just look through all the well-wishers and people that are just reaching out to you. You're like, hey, man, that really makes you feel good. And it was the same thing here. Now, nobody died or anything. I would have come back. But you go through and you look, and it's amazing just what somebody on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, Instagram, can go on there and just say, hey, keep your head up, keep working. Hey, thanks. And how good it makes you feel. I just know this, that moving forward, I have not always been great at somebody when something tragic happened or somebody lost a job, reaching out and saying, hey, good luck to you or anything else. But I sure do it now because I know how good it makes me feel. So I'll thank everybody for doing that. And both of you guys, of course, did that.
Well,
so
of course, there's no pure soul, better pro, and someone that I've met, enjoyed working with more than you, and you know that. And when it comes to what I went through, because I obviously have been off air for a long time now because of the cutbacks and the shifts and all that stuff. And you reached out to me immediately, as you always do, and I could tell you how much that meant. And it meant so nice to hear the times we've talked recently, Fifth, about all the people that have reached out to you, because I know you're a very humble guy, so it's not like you're going around saying I'm the greatest like I do, because I'm crazy, but I do that as a fun thing. But I just think that when it comes down to it, there are so many people across all barriers, all races, all religions, all age groups, all sports, all genres that just have a ton of love and respect for you. Just to know that, and the talks we've had, and the even though it's tough right now, the passion and excitement in your voice and your heart about things you and I have talked about for the future. It means the world to me because it's giving me a lot of hope, and we need that right now. And Dave, I know that as we've talked, you and I, Fifth is someone that, as you mentioned earlier, has meant a lot to you and your brother and so many. So I want to give you a chance, Dave, to say something about that.
Well, like I said, I've known Dennis for a long time on a personal level, but I will say this, I'll miss him on Saturday afternoons driving around. I mean, when every other station has paid programming, it's real estate, lawyer shows, gardening shows, whatever. I could always get some live sports, and it was Dennis Fithian, and that was the guy that I had on when I was driving around, 2 to 6 every Saturday like clockwork. And I'm gonna miss that. I'm gonna miss the Sizzler shows with you and Dan. And your NFL stuff that you guys did was real good. I enjoyed listening to your NFL stuff, going from city to city, and so I'm definitely gonna miss that.
Fifth, Blue Zone, our Blue Zone show. One of the most proud things I've ever done in broadcasting, doing that with you.
Yeah, Blue Zone was fun. Task Force is fun. This is a fun show, man. Dave's doing a great job, and he's a pro. And
Thanks,
Dan, you're bringing your excitement to this. I can see this taking off and being something that people need. I've spent more time on social media in the last week than I have in 2 years. So it's a lot of people's habits are changing, and I'm messaging people, talking to people that I never have, parents, and everything, going around talking to my godmother today. So it's one of those things here. We know this is trying time, but people are, trying to come together, looking for different things. And I think a show like this, you guys keep it going, man. Churn it out.
You and I've got great stuff ahead, Dennis. I know, as we mentioned, times are tough. It's tough to see what happened with you and others. And I know this, when one door closes, another one slams wide open, and nothing will be as special in my life or career unless I'm able to work with you again. Matt on the chat said, I sure darn hope that Dennis and Leach can be together again somewhere. It won't be the same without you guys. So that means a lot. But this is about Dennis right now. I mean, we'll worry about me later. I'm happy to do the show. But Dennis, you and I have talked about stuff, good things in the future. I can't wait for that. All right, before we go, we'll do our parting shots in a second. We always do this on the task force. Dennis, it's called the Sky Task Force. We'll start with you, Riggs. Your interesting, special, exciting house item of the day, because we're all at home. So we'll show something from our house.
In honor of Dennis being our distinguished guest, I think this to me, but I actually was in my car, but I guess we could use it from the house. And this is a
there it is
thing from the big house that Dan gave to me. So there you go.
I love it.
In honor of Dennis.
I love it.
There's my item for today.
I did give that to you. I believe, Dennis, if I'm not mistaken, I gave one for you, Faith, and Will, your kids, if I'm not mistaken. I still have some.
That's
still
right.
Have some in my car. Let's go to the great King Fifth's interesting special house item of the day.
This is me.
You're up, my friend.
All right. Well, you know what? I just reached down. Dan gave me this note right before the show started, and I have been going through some of my old memorabilia here, and I picked up 4 cards, and I'm going to show you guys all 4. Here's a Joe Dumars rookie card right here.
No, that's awesome.
This is a Joe D. I'll go right here. This is a Mike Modano. I don't know if it's a rookie or not. Livonia Franklin, repping him. This is my pride and joy, my best card that I have here. That is a rookie,
yes,
Magic, Bird, and with Dr. J right there.
Awesome.
In the middle. So those are the 3.
That's worth a lot of money. It's worth a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah, you know what? It's worth a lot, but nobody's ever given me anything for it.
Well, it's like they say, it's only worth what someone will pay for it. I know you guys can't see me, but I'm going to show this to the camera. And I wore this because of all the great Lions post-game shows, either at Ford Field or in the studio, me and Fithian did. This is my original, and Dennis has seen me wear this. One of the pictures I posted tonight has me wearing this with Fifth and me together. My original 1991 Barry Sanders jersey. I've had it my entire life since then. I've gotten it dry cleaned. I've gotten it washed. I will always have this. He's my favorite athlete, and these memories of Barry Sanders and the electrifying, just brilliance of his life and career as a football player give me the great feelings and tidings of the memories I had working with the guy on the bottom right of your screen, and to a degree, Dave Rieger, but Dennis Fithian. So Barry reminds me a lot of that, Dennis, because he had heart, even though he was more quiet and reserved. You've got the biggest heart, and the feeling that Barry made me have as a fan and a young journalist is the feeling I had working with you any shift, any segment I was ever with you.
Well, Dan, that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said, and knowing how much Barry means to you. Thanks, man. I
You
appreciate
know that I mean it, my friend. All right, before we go, Dave always has this famous quote. I'm sure he'll use it tonight. Parting shots from the Kingpin, Dave Rieger.
Well, yeah, I like to, everybody stay safe, practice social distancing, flatten the curve. Let's all work together to try to get through this and to try to get back to some type of normal as quickly as we can. And as far as that quote that Dan talked about, my favorite TV coach from Friday Night Lights, before they went out to play football, Coach Eric Taylor would always say, clear out, full hearts, can't lose.
Yep, I love it. D5th, your parting shots, my fine friend.
Yeah, I would just tell everybody out there that, one thing with the nature of this pandemic, viruses, this thing by nature moves slow, and we're in such a fast-moving culture. Everybody wants these things over, and, thinking about it in months, extended months is kind of the way we need to look at it. So I would say to anybody that's feeling really down and is depressed there, reach out to people. There are people that, are there, not just to cheer you up, that can help you out. So you're not alone out there. Even if you are alone and you're practicing being alone, check on people that are too. I've got my nephew that, staying at my grandma's house or his grandma's house, my mother's house. She's down stranded in Florida. He's there watching her dog. And now, that has turned into from a month thing where who knows how long it's going to be. So I keep checking on him, check on the people, and we'll all get through this together.
Hey, that was beautifully said. I can't say that better. And as you know, I am so happy to be back with you. We have things that we definitely are thinking about in the future that are going to be super special. But to have you on this show that we started a little while ago, it's been the most special episode. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for being you. And what I always try to tell everyone, like you just said, and it's so important, as you mentioned, stay connected. Listen to the instructions and the scientists and the experts. Wash your hands, stay safe away from each other, but be connected. Tonight, it's Passover. I want to wish everyone that celebrates a happy Pesach. For others like Dennis that celebrate Easter, happy Easter. It's Zoom Passover Seder tonight, but it's so important to stay connected to everyone out there right now because a lot of us are not used to this. And, Fifth, me and Riggs, we've got a lot of friends. We got people to stay in touch with. Some people don't have as many. So reach out, like you said, Dennis, you were talking to all your friends that, maybe you haven't been connected to recently. Reach out to that friend, text them, make sure they're okay, because we might have an economic recession, which is nothing, because we'll recover from it. But the social recession is the one to focus on. Be there for each other, spread the love, not hate, be together, not divisive, and look for great things in the future from Dennis Fithian. And I would be honored to be a part of that with him. Dennis, I love you like a brother. I know Dave feels the same way. And I look forward to great times ahead, my friend.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember. It was back in the day. I don't even know exactly where he worked, but he was on cable. It was a guy named Todd Donahoe. He used to have timeout for trivia. He'd give you the 1, 2, 3, and he'd lean into the screen. That's for some of the older viewers there tonight. Todd Donahoe, timeout for trivia.
1, 2, 3. Until next time, we love you. Fifth, you're the best.
Great to see you, Dennis.
That's going to do it for the task force. Believe in the dream. Love you all. Happy Passover. Happy birthday, Flop. Dennis is the greatest American hero.